The elevator was supposed to go to the 15th floor, but it stopped at 12. When the doors opened, Elon Musk stepped in, looked at me and said, "Going up." Those two words started a conversation that would turn my $30,000 startup idea into a $50 million company. But it wasn't what he said that changed everything, it was what he didn't say. This is the story of how a chance encounter with the world's most famous entrepreneur taught me that sometimes the most valuable lessons come not from the advice people give you, but from watching how they think about problems that everyone else considers impossible to solve. My name is Alex, and in March 2023, I was a 28-year-old software engineer with a failing startup and exactly $1,247 left in my business account. For 2 years, I'd been working on what I thought was a revolutionary idea, an AI-powered platform that would help small businesses optimize their supply chains. I had spent every dollar I'd saved from my previous job, maxed out 3 credit cards, and convinced my girlfriend to let me raid our wedding fund to keep the company alive. The problem wasn't that the technology didn't work, it did, brilliantly. The problem was that nobody wanted to buy it. I'd pitched to 127 potential clients over 18 months. I'd been rejected by every major accelerator program. I'd applied for grants, sought angel investors, and even tried crowdfunding. Nothing worked. Everyone told me the same thing. It's a nice idea, but small businesses don't need this level of sophistication. They're not going to pay for enterprise-level supply chain optimization. But I knew they were wrong. I could see the inefficiencies in how small businesses managed their inventory, their vendor relationships, their logistics. My platform could save them thousands of dollars a month and hours of manual work every week. The problem was that I couldn't figure out how to explain this value in a way that made business owners care enough to write a check. That morning in March, I was heading to what I knew would be my final investor meeting before shutting down the company. Marcus Chen, a mid-level VC at a tech fund, had agreed to hear my pitch one last time before I accepted defeat and went back to working for someone else. I was running late, stressed, and desperately rehearsing my presentation in my head when I walked into the wrong building. The address Marcus had given me was 1455 Market Street, 15th floor, but in my distracted state, I had walked into 1445 Market Street and gotten into the elevator without checking the directory. It wasn't until I pressed the button for the 15th floor and nothing happened that I realized this building only went up to 12 floors. Great, I muttered to myself as the elevator started moving upward. I'm about to be late for the most important meeting of my life because I can't even read an address correctly. The elevator stopped at the 8th floor, then the 10th, then the 12th. I was planning to get off at 12 and figure out how to get to the right building. When the doors opened at the 12th floor and someone stepped in, I looked up from my phone where I was frantically trying to Google the correct address, and there was Elon Musk. Not someone who looked like Elon Musk, not someone who might be Elon Musk. Definitely, unmistakably, Elon Musk, wearing a black t-shirt and jeans, looking exactly like every photo I'd ever seen of him, except slightly more tired. He glanced at me, pressed the button for the lobby, and said, "Going up." I stared at him for what felt like an hour but was probably 3 seconds. "Actually," I said, "I think I'm in the wrong building." He smiled, not the practiced smile of a public figure, but the genuine smile of someone who appreciated the honesty. "That happens more than you'd think," he said. "What were you looking for?" For some reason, maybe because I was already having the worst morning possible, maybe because he seemed genuinely curious, maybe because I figured I had nothing left to lose, I told him the truth. "I'm supposed to be pitching my startup to an investor in 10 minutes, but I'm in the wrong building. I'm completely unprepared, and I'm pretty sure I'm about to shut down my company anyway." Most people would have given me some generic encouragement or politely changed the subject. Elon did neither. "What's the company?" he asked. "AI-powered supply chain optimization for small businesses." He was quiet for a moment, and I could see him processing this information in a way that was different from how other people thought. It wasn't just polite interest, he was actually running calculations in his head. "What's the problem you're solving?" he asked. I launched into my riff, but set about market inefficiencies and optimization algorithms and competitive advantages. The same presentation I'd given 127 times to increasingly disinterested audiences. He let me finish, then said something that stopped me cold. "No, I mean, what specific problem are you solving for a specific person?" I realized I had been talking for 2 minutes about my technology without once mentioning how it actually helped anyone do anything. I help small business owners save money on inventory management. How much money? Well, it depends on their current systems. And how much money did you save the last business owner you worked with? I was quiet for a long moment. I haven't actually worked with any business owners yet. I've been focused on building the platform. First, the elevator had reached the lobby, but Elon didn't get off. He pressed the button for the 12th floor again. "Tell me about the business owner you built this for," he said as we started going back up. "I didn't build it for a specific person. I built it for the market of small businesses that need." "There's no such thing as the market," he interrupted, but not unkindly. "There are only individual people with individual problems. Who is the person?" For the next 8 minutes, as we rode the elevator up and down between the lobby and the 12th floor. Elon Musk gave me the most valuable business, the education I'd ever received. He didn't tell me what to do with my startup. He didn't give me advice about raising money or building technology or marketing to customers. Instead, he asked me questions that forced me to think about my business in a completely different way. If you had to pick one business owner, anywhere in the world, and your platform could only solve one problem for that one person, who would it be and what would the problem be? I started to give him a general answer about small business challenges, but he held up his hand. One person, one problem, real names. I thought about it. Really thought about it for the first time in 2 years. My uncle Rick, I said finally. He owns a small construction company in Ohio. He's constantly running out of materials in the middle of jobs because he can't predict how much he'll need, and he can't afford to overorder because cash flow is so tight. How much does this cost him? I don't know exactly, but probably thousands of dollars a month in delays and rush orders. How much would he pay to solve this problem? I've never asked him why not. That question hit me like a physical blow. I had spent 2 years building a solution to a problem I'd never actually verified existed, for people I'd never actually talked to, solving challenges I'd never actually quantified, because, I said slowly, I was so focused on building the perfect technology that I forgot to find out if anyone actually wanted it. Elon nodded. What's your uncle's phone number? Asterisk. You want me to call him now? Why not? I looked around the elevator. Here, where else? I pulled out my phone and called Uncle Rick. It was 10:30 a.m. on a Tuesday, so he was probably on a job site, but he answered on the second ring. Alex, how's the startup going, kid? I looked at Elon, who gestured for me too. Put the phone on speaker. Actually, Rick, that's why I'm calling. Can I ask you about your biggest business problem? My biggest problem? Easy. I never know how much material to order for jobs. I either order too little and have to make emergency runs to Home Depot at markup prices, or I order too much and tie up cash I don't have. How much does this cost you? Probably 3 or 4 grand a month. Easy. More on big jobs. What would you pay for a system that could predict exactly how much material you need for each job? Are you kidding? If it actually worked, I'd pay $1,000 a month for that. No question. I looked at Elon. He was smiling. Rick, I said, what if I told you I've been working on exactly that for the past 2 years? I'd say it's about time you called me. Chapter 6. The INSH. I hung up with Rick, Elon, and I rode the elevator in silence for a moment. So, he said, you've been trying to sell a $50,000 enterprise software platform to businesses that need a $1,000 simple solution. I guess so. And instead of talking to people like your uncle to understand what they actually need, you've been talking to investors and accelerators who don't understand the problem at all. That's exactly what I've been doing. Do you know why I started Tesla? The question seemed to come out of nowhere, but I was learning to trust his thought process. To accelerate sustainable transport, I started Tesla because I wanted to buy an electric car that didn't suck, and nobody was making one. It wasn't about the market or the industry or the competitive landscape. It was about solving a specific problem for a specific person, me. SpaceX, I wanted to go to Mars, and NASA wasn't moving fast enough. Twitter, I wanted a platform for free speech that actually worked. I was starting to see the pattern. You don't build companies for markets, I said. You build them for people. You build them for yourself, or for someone you know well enough to care about. Everything else is just guessing. The elevator opened at the lobby, and this time Elon stepped out. But before the doors closed, he turned back to me. Here's what you're going to do, he said. You're going to cancel your investor meeting today. But you're going to call 10 more people like your uncle, real people with real problems. You're going to understand exactly what they need, how much they'll pay for it, and how you can build the simplest possible solution to solve their specific problem. And then you're going to build that solution, test it with those 10 people, and charge them money for it. If it works, you'll have a real business. If it doesn't work, you'll have real feedback instead of investor rejection letters. The elevator doors started to close. Wait, I called out. What if I need help? What if I get stuck? He smiled and pulled out his phone. What's your email? I told him, and he typed something quickly. I just sent you my assistant's contact information. If you build something real and it's actually helping people, send me an update in 6 months. The doors closed, and I was alone in the elevator, holding my phone and staring at an email from Elon Musk's assistant. Asterisk. I never made it to that investor meeting. Instead, I went home and made a list of every small business owner I knew. Uncle Rick, my neighbor who runs a landscaping company. My college roommate's father who owns a restaurant. The guy who cuts my hair and runs a barbershop. My girlfriend's sister who started a boutique clothing store. Over the next week, I called all of them. What I discovered completely changed how I thought about my business. None of them wanted AI-powered supply chain optimization. That phrase meant nothing to them, but they all had variations of Uncle Rick's problem. They couldn't predict how much inventory to order, when to order it, or how to avoid running out of critical supplies without tying up too much cash. More importantly, they all described the problem in almost exactly the same words. I never know how much to order. Instead of building a sophisticated AI platform with machine learning algorithms and predictive analytics, I realized I needed to build a simple tool that would answer one question: how much should I order this week? I spent the next month rebuilding my entire platform from scratch. Gone were the complex dashboards, the enterprise features, the integration with 17 different business systems. Instead, I built a simple web app that asked 3 questions. What did you sell last week? What do you have in stock right now? What's your lead time for reordering? Based on those answers, it told you exactly how much to order and when to order it. I called it StockSense. Uncle Rick was my first beta tester. I gave him access to StockSense and asked him to use it for 1 month to predict his material orders for 3 small residential jobs. The results were better than I had hoped. In the first week, StockSense told him to order 15% less cement than he normally would have, saving him $340. In the second week, it warned him that he was likely to run short on electrical wire based on his project timeline, preventing a costly emergency purchase. By the end of the month, Rick calculated that StockSense had saved him $1,200 in unnecessary inventory costs and emergency purchases. This is exactly what I needed. He told me it's simple, it works, and it saves me money. When can I start paying for it? I set up a simple subscription, $99 per month. Rick became my first paying customer. Within 2 months, through referrals from Rick and the other small business owners I'd talked to, I had 12 paying customers. Within 4 months, I had 40-7. By the end of the year, StockSense had 312 paying customers, was generating $31,000 per month in recurring revenue, and was profitable. More importantly, I was solving real problems for real people, and they were happy to pay me for it. 6 months after meeting Elon in the elevator, I sent an email to his assistant with an update on StockSense. I didn't expect a response. I figured it was a one-time encounter, and Elon probably gave advice to dozens of people every month and forgot about them immediately. 3 days later, I got a reply, not from his assistant, from Elon himself. Alex, saw your update. StockSense looks like exactly what these businesses need. Clean solution to a real problem. Are you raising funding for expansion? I called my girlfriend and read her the email. Holy shit, she said. Elon Musk wants to invest in your company. I don't think that's what he's saying. Alex, that's exactly what he's saying. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in a conference room at Tesla's headquarters in Austin, presenting StockSense to Elon and 3 members of his investment team. It was the strangest investor meeting I'd ever had. Instead of asking about market size, competitive landscape, or my 5-year projections, Elon spent most of the meeting talking to Uncle Rick on speakerphone. Rick, how much time does StockSense save you each week? Probably 3 or 4 hours. I used to spend all this time trying to figure out what to order, calling suppliers, checking inventory. Now I just look at the app and place my orders. What would happen if Alex shut down StockSense tomorrow? I'd be screwed. I'd have to go back to guessing, and I'd probably lose a couple $1,000s a month on ordering mistakes. How much would you pay for StockSense if Alex doubled the price? I'd still pay it. It saves me way more than it costs. After the call, Elon looked at his team and said, "This is how you validate a business model. Real customers paying real money for real value." By the end of the meeting, he had offered to lead a $2 million seed round for StockSense. With Elon's investment and guidance, StockSense grew faster than I had ever imagined possible. But it wasn't just about the money. Elon's involvement opened doors that would have taken me years to open on my own. He introduced me to the heads of supply chain at several major retailers, who became enterprise customers. He connected me with engineers from Tesla and SpaceX who helped me solve complex technical challenges. Most importantly, he taught me how to think about scaling a business without losing focus on the core problem we were solving. Every time you add a feature, he told me, ask yourself, does this help small business owners figure out how much to order? If the answer is no, don't build it. Within 18 months, StockSense had grown to 2,400 paying customers across 12 different industries. We were processing over $50 million in inventory predictions monthly and had expanded the team to 14 employees. The company that had started as a failed AI platform was now valued at $50 million. But the real validation wasn't the valuation, was the messages I received from customers. StockSense saved my restaurant during COVID by helping me order exactly the right amount of perishables when demand was unpredictable. I've been able to expand my construction business because I no longer tie up cash in excess inventory. Your app prevented me from running out of fabric during my busiest season. People often ask me what it was like to meet Elon Musk in an elevator, and they expect me to tell them about his charisma or his genius or some profound piece of wisdom he shared. But the truth is, the most valuable thing Elon did wasn't what he said, it was what he didn't say. He didn't tell me my idea was good or bad. He didn't give me business advice or investment tips or networking contacts. He simply asked me questions that I should have been asking myself from the beginning. Who are you building this for? What specific problem are you solving? How do you know people actually have this problem? How much would they pay to solve it? Those questions seem obvious now, but I had spent 2 years building a company without ever seriously considering them. I was so focused on the technology, the market opportunity, the competitive landscape, and the investor pitch that I forgot the most fundamental question in business. Does anyone actually want what you're building? The second lesson was about the difference between building for the market and building for people. Markets don't buy products, people do. Markets don't have problems, people do. You can't talk to a market, but you can call your uncle. Since that elevator encounter, I've started dozens of companies and invested in hundreds more. Every time I evaluate a new opportunity, I ask the same questions Elon asked me. Who is the specific person this is for? What is their specific problem? How do you know they actually have this problem? How much would they pay to solve it? If the founder can't answer these questions with real names and real numbers, I pass on the investment. I've also learned to recognize the difference between building something people want and building something people think they should want. Uncle Rick didn't want a AI-powered supply chain optimization. He wanted to know how much cement to order on Tuesday morning. The best businesses solve problems that people already know they have, not problems that you have to convince them they should care about. Asterisk. The strangest part of the StockSense story is how it connected me to a network of entrepreneurs and investors that I never could have accessed on my own, because Elon was involved as an early investor. Other high-profile entrepreneurs started paying attention to what we were building. Y Combinator invited us to speak to their current batch about customer validation. Mark Benioff asked me to present at a Salesforce conference about building simple solutions to complex problems. But more importantly, I started getting calls from other entrepreneurs who were struggling with the same challenges I had faced. I had built amazing technology that nobody wanted to buy, began mentoring startups, and realized that almost every failed company I encountered had made the same mistake I had. They had built solutions to problems that existed only in their imagination. The companies that succeeded were the ones that started with a specific person and a specific problem, just like Elon had taught me. Asterisk. 5 years later, StockSense serves over 15,000 small businesses across North America and has prevented over $200 million in inventory waste. Uncle Rick is still our customer, still paying $99 per month, and still one of our biggest advocates, and I still think about that elevator ride every time I make a business decision, not because Elon Musk is a genius, although he is, but because he asked the right questions at exactly the right moment. Sometimes the most profound lessons come from the simplest interactions. Sometimes the answer you need isn't complicated advice or sophisticated strategy. It's just someone forcing you to think clearly about what you're actually trying to accomplish. The elevator was supposed to go to the 15th floor, but it stopped at 12. That change in plans changed everything. If I had gotten off at the right floor, gone to the right building, made that investor pitch, I probably would have raised some money, built the wrong product for the wrong people, and eventually failed like 90% of startups do. Instead, I got lost, met the right person, asked the right questions, and built something that actually mattered. Sometimes the best thing that can happen to your plans is for them to get completely derailed. Sometimes the elevator stopping at the wrong floor is exactly what you need, and sometimes the most valuable advice comes not from what someone tells you to do, but from what they help you realize you should have been doing all along. Asterisk. Have you ever had a chance encounter that changed your life? Have you built something people actually want, or something you think they should want? Share your story in the comments. Sometimes the most important lessons come from the conversations we never planned to have.